Well, hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Hello. Welcome to Cut the Shit Show, Cue the Genius. You are the geniuses. We are just doing the queuing right now. And happy Thursday, everyone. And I hope everyone's looking forward to a weekend because I know that we are so there, even though here in the USA, it was a short week for many. But it seems like the longest,
Still too long,
shittiest week ever. So it must be the Mercury retrograde that we just went through.
I think it's the airline fiasco.
Oh, everything's making everybody just like shake their head and say, what? It could be Q5 of 2022 still for many as well. We have a very interesting session and topic today. All our sessions and topics are interesting. So I enjoy having this conversation with Liz and Bruno every week and with our audience. So to tee it up, we are talking today about Gen Z and about resumes. And we're hearing through the grapevine that there are different people that are thinking about different things. So Liz, can you elaborate on how this session and topic came together for us to discuss today?
Sure. And then as we've been talking, now I have all these new ideas that I'm about to spring on you too, and we're just going to have to roll with it. So we were just talking about, this was a few weeks ago, we were talking about Gen Z and like gaps on the resume, for example, and how I think it's just becoming a little more accepted that graduate college or you graduate high school, you might not go right to college. You graduate college, you might take off some time and travel the world before you go looking for that dream job, or anywhere in the middle. Maybe you take some time off at any point, or just in general, people have these Etsy businesses, they're YouTube creators, they're influencers, and like, how the heck do you put that all on a resume? What does that mean? And so that's kind of, I think, where this topic came up, that we put it together weeks ago. It's now in the last 5 minutes. Thank you, ladies. We did plan a whole session, but I'm going to mess it up on you as usual. I was thinking on my brain, though, are also like every time I log into LinkedIn, it seems everyone is being laid off from our industry and others. And so it also has me rethinking, like, even if you're not Gen Z, you need to write a resume today. Do you want Gen Z to write it for you? What does that look like? Because they're not the only ones who are doing 10 different things and have lots of skill sets outside of what goes on a resume. And so I think it would be interesting to just talk about what the heck is the point of a resume? How do we convey all this cool shit we're doing on a piece of paper? So I don't know, Michelle,
and how it gets evaluated by someone that's reading it too. So
what that even means, I don't know.
I'm going to be the first to admit that I haven't had a resume in like 20 years. I mean, if I had to like draft a resume, it would take me probably, I don't know, like a few months to just like pull everything together and put everything in the format and stuff like that. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask, but I am definitely all for creative ways to convey your qualifications. That said, I don't think our industry is on board with that. And one of the reasons is the way that resumes are processed now. It's like computers and AI bots and whatever are looking at for keywords and stuff like that to narrow down the field or whatever they look for. And, you know, the typical resume that a Gen Z person might submit with work gaps, with, you know, other side hustles they're involved in, probably won't fly with the bots or with the hiring people who are still, you know, a little bit older, a little bit more tenured in the industry, more traditional in terms of hiring practices. So I think that maybe this new generation, as they push to deviate from the norm, might get hung up because we don't like to do things, you know, too different, you know.
So let's back up for a second. Let's define and sort of understand who is Gen Z versus the other generations that we're dealing with that are a little bit more traditional or, you know, set in their ways or like, no, you can't change me kind of people.
Yeah, I think I would say two things. We know that from an age perspective, right today, Gen Z would be between 11 and 26 years old.
Right.
But, you know, they differ, I think, in a lot of ways from the next group, the millennials, which are 27 to 42, because that's the group that has like been in the shit show of COVID, of the '08 recession, of just like political and global economic and socio-political upheaval and wars in Afghanistan and cats and dogs sleeping together. I mean, I think millennials have been effed over. And now we have the Gen Z that's coming along like, hey, I want a gap year. I want a gap month. I want to, you know, ski all day and not show up to
Digital
work.
nomad.
Yeah. Nomads.
Yeah.
Like, life is great because the millennials bore the brunt of the bullshit when they got out of college or when they went into the workforce. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening.
So just for everybody that's listening in, Bruno, what generation are you from?
I'm baby boomer.
And that's age group of?
Oh, please. Come on. That's just the far end.
Kidding. We're kidding.
We're kidding. We're kidding. Liz, what about you?
Don't talk about a woman's age and Dahlia, you did this at PCMA. Hey, can you talk to whatever so-and-so? Hey, and the first thing she goes is, well, how old are you? And I'm just, okay, and just like a little group of people are around. I'm just like, oh.
Now she's doing it on who knows what platform you're on right now.
Yeah, wait till you get here. Just wait. Anyway.
Hey, honey, we're already in the same generation.
I'm in the age group of
Wait, you're not there yet.
Way too complicated.
Wait, we're not there yet. So, baby boomer. Liz, what about you?
I mean, I guess according to the Google definition, I'm a millennial. I always thought I was like, I'm on the cusp, you know, like Cancer, Leo. Depends where you look.
It depends on the planets.
Yeah, it depends who you're looking at. Some people say it's the, you know, this date or that date.
Right. So baby boomer, we have a millennial, and I'm a Gen X. Jill, you and me, high five. We're Gen X's. Be kind of interesting to see from our audience what generation they're in. But I think sociographics. So we're not talking demographics. I'm not going to talk about age, but we're going to talk sociographics in, you know, because I think that's important. And we see Savas and others here. Peggy's a boomer. The sociographics actually play a bigger role here because we are talking about, you know, Gen Z and millennials, and actually the three of us, which we also agreed before the session that we all belong to the same generation of, what was it again? IDAF. We don't give a shit kind of generation, meaning we're more open-minded no matter what the age group is or the gen is than others are. The sociographics play a role here, where how exposed are you to social media? And how exposed are you to like people that are talented, that do have the hustles, the side hustles, those that want to think different, how open you are mindset wise in regards to different ways. And I think that plays more of a role than an age. So Bruno, I apologies for asking about the age group, but I just want to make this, you know, clear, because I think from our industry perspective and those that have been in the industry way too long, they have to be more open-minded now. So not only in regards to resumes, but like what that looks like at the moment. So let's talk about, you know, different ways that Gen Z approach on how they position themselves, how they look at their own brand and their own areas of expertise. If we look at it, what do you think if instead of getting a resume, you're getting a video or you are getting a TikTok reel or, you know, something that is more social media oriented because that's where they lived and, you know, look at, than just a cover letter and a resume and like, blah, 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 this is what I've done. What do you think?
I think it's going to be happening for sure. It already happens. But to Michelle's point, we're working with ancient systems. Like my career actually started in a career center at Columbia University. And it's just a science. Like, okay, folks, you got to write your resume. It has to look exactly like this. Your font can't be more than this size. It has to be formatted like
More
this.
than 2 pages.
Don't spend more than 6 seconds looking at it. And they're not going to know why you should be even applying to the job. They only ask for the cover letter because they want to see if you'll write it. They're not actually going to read it. You know, there's all these rules, and then you feed them into these online application systems that, as Michelle's saying, there's just these bots scanning. And so I think that I hope that we are moving from thinking that people can be automated like that. Like we can just have people apply and have these robots figure out our top 10 top 10 applicants. And hopefully we're making this switch towards understanding that we're hiring people. And I think that's the huge difference that we're seeing with Gen Z is they see themselves as humans who have multiple interests, multiple skills, who own that skill set and want to grow over time. And they want to apply whatever that is to the company they're working for at that time. And that's going to require, you know, companies to take a much more laid back standpoint perspective on how they're looking at applicants. And I think it comes down. I was just writing an article this morning about layoffs and like what to do after a layoff. And one of the things I was talking about is just super personal outreach. If you have a position that you want, you go directly to the company, you find a person at that company and you really talk to them about your skill set and why you want to be there. And that kind of applying is where you can totally apply with a TikTok or, you know, some kind of reel or a video that you've put together because you're making that personal connection. But if you think you're going to just submit a resume in video form to monster.com, does that even still exist?
I think it got bought.
Good luck to you.
It's now a drink.
Oh, right.
They
Right.
scratched out of the resume business. They went to drinks.
This was a long time ago. I was at the career center.
Yeah.
Bruno, what do you think?
I'm trying to be open-minded, but I'm thinking like what would be on a TikTok reel that would be relevant for an employer, you know, or any kind of video reel. I guess if you're just making it from scratch and you had a strategy around what's on the reel, you know, it sounds like a lot more complicated than just writing it out. But
Right.
as a writer, maybe that's easier for me. I can't imagine making a TikTok reel at this point.
So I have a thought. We are hiring people, and a lot of times resumes are smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Resumes get
All the
farmed
time.
out to be written by someone else who is not as humble as the person that is portrayed in the resume, and they pay a ton of money for it. When I look at the opportunity of instead of getting a traditional resume, I look at I need someone who is obviously credible in what they say they can do, but I need to see them in action.
Sorry, Michael's comment we must address.
It got him the job.
He got the job.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of times that, you know, I would rather see a video or a personal elevator pitch, because the one thing that we always ask our like talent or our team members to be is like how present you are. How do you present yourself? What are your communication skills, you know, verbally? How do you carry yourself? And to be honest, you don't get that from a resume. And, you know, I've always seen it where if someone goes out of their way and in an uncomfortable zone, which is always in front of the camera first, versus a piece of paper or maybe the cover letter is, switched out with a video pitch of some kind. I would rather do that. I would rather have, LinkedIn aside, etc. I would rather have someone that presents me with a portfolio link that showcases their work, or showcases the way they write, showcases the way they, think of their side hustle, and add that into the mix, because it shows me a little bit more of how their brain works. And it's more transparent than this linear, oversaw, blah, 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 managed, blah, 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 did, blah, 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 oversaw, blah, blah, blah.
Supervised.
Huh?
Supervised.
Supervised. And it doesn't show me what they really are like. So I see where the TikTok and I'm not very savvy about, recruitment type of platforms that maybe are able to analyze reels or TikTok or whatever. What I have seen is there are some kick-ass talent, especially on LinkedIn, where they showcase their profiles in a very different way. And those are the ones that are more intriguing.
So, well, Jill, I'm not advocating for like the paper. I definitely think that, and I know you, Dahlia, you would love a video. What I want to ask you guys is, let's say you're hiring for sales, and this Gen Z person comes through and has like 1 million followers on TikTok.
TikToks.
TikTok. Would that be like a sign that said, heck yeah, I'll hire that person? Or would you immediately think like, okay, they're going to put all their energy into that side hustle and they're not going to focus on the job?
I really wonder how much we're going towards a world where everyone kind of is their own
side
business.
hustle.
You are the business.
Oh God, I hope not.
Lend your skills to this company and you lend your skills to that. I really am curious how much that's going to play out as compared to these large organizations that have 5,000 employees. But I would say that particular example, it would depend. It would depend on what they're doing with that side hustle, how frequently they post content. And I wouldn't say a large following necessarily means you're a great salesperson, because we all know you can get, personal experience, you can get plenty of people to follow you online. Doesn't mean you sell them anything or that you're good at that part. But from a marketing perspective, yeah, I might bring that person in. Absolutely. And I think that second part of your question is a question we're going to have to answer nonstop. Is that side hustle going to detract them from the work that they're doing for me? And does that really matter? Michael's saying that side hustle shows productivity. Yeah, absolutely. Like, it depends how you look at it, and it depends how close you hold your team. Like, they have to work for me and do nothing else. Then you're not going to be great with someone who has lots of people following them on social media. I had that issue when I was working at Columbia, and they were always like, what are you doing over there? I'm like, it really doesn't matter, right? As long as I'm doing what I'm doing here well, and I keep getting promoted here, so it looks like I'm okay, but now where everyone is a creator and everyone has side hustles, I don't know.
Well, I think so it's twofold here. We're discussing first and foremost the Gen Z sociographics and what's appealing to them, in order for you to say, yeah, hey, Gen Z, please write my resume, which they won't rewrite your resume. They will recreate your resume, because they might come to you and say, Bruno, you don't need a resume anymore. You need a portfolio. And that's your resume. It's a visual, like, portfolio, interactive maybe, because they're going to think different, right? The other thing that we're thinking of is, how accepted is the Gen Z, that type of mind and that professionalism that exists in them and that expertise? How is that going to fit in a traditional way or manner within an organization? And to be honest, this is where we ask our event profs, how traditional are you in the way you're thinking? How agile are you in the way of changing? Because if you're not, you're probably missing out on the best talent that will flip and get your organization or your event or your team up and running in less time and in a better shape than ever before. I think there's two things happening here.
I'm almost rethinking the whole like job hiring process. Because first of all, I'm blown away that cover letters were just an exercise to see if like you'll do it. I've written lots of cover letters over the years, primarily for my kids and relatives and friends, but it's just like it seemed like a really stupid thing. I mean, I can agree with you there. On the other hand, so why are people asking for it?
Well, because now Chat GPT can actually
yeah, there you go.
out for you, and it won't represent anything of the person that you're bringing in. So, like, here's
the other thing I'm thinking about. Like, I have hired lots of people over the years, and some of them were shitty in the interview process and were excellent employees, and vice versa. Had an awesome resume, an awesome cover letter, and came in and were a box of rocks. So I don't know, like, what can you even tell? Maybe Gen Z is onto something. It shows effort. Like Michael says, it shows hustle, productivity. It's, creativity. Don't you want that kind of person in your job? Even if they did take a year off to backpack across Thailand, who cares?
Which might have actually helped them out. But like, so here's the other part. Like, if we're really thinking of, okay, resumes aside, show me something different, etc., then how about this? Why are they submitting a resume? Why are they not submitting, if we're asking for people to apply for a certain job or a certain project, for example, why are we not asking as us doing the recruitment, hey, instead of a resume, we give them a challenge, we give them a project to do, and they have to submit it. And they have to submit how they would handle it internally with a team.
No.
What?
I bet you they say no.
Why? They won't read the directions and they'll just submit the resume and cover letter anyway.
Yeah.
I think
all those job descriptions that are like, and also put your favorite hobby at the bottom, and nobody does it. There's like one person. It's all just these filters to get to see who's really serious. So if you did something like that, it would be a great idea, because you'll realize there's very few people who are willing, because that's the other side of it. Are people willing to take the time to think about what kind of companies they really want to work for and actually
Brian
put together something?
Thinks I have a good idea.
It is a great idea. And I think you would filter out, instead of getting 10,000 applications, you might get 10 really good ones,
well, here's the other part is like, I mean, if we're really flipping the script and saying, okay, resumes are shit, says all the generations that are on the screen because we don't give a shit. What if, they write their own job description? Yeah. We have always tried to ask way too much on the job description. You want an event marketer? Well, they have to do this all the way to this, and they get overwhelmed. What if it's like you truly get someone who's creative, who's productive, who can kick ass? Yeah. They write their own job description. They see how they can fit in with the rest of the team, meaning it's on them to also ask the right questions during the interview part of a team, not only of one person. And they know exactly what they're in for. And they're actually, as they do on TikTok and Reels, being authentic of like, this is what I can give you. I'm not going to give you anything else because I got other shit to do.
It's just, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think the other part of my brain is saying, most people won't put in that much effort. Most people don't know themselves well enough to do that. Even Gen Z, we can say that they are doing all these creative things, but is it with this purpose to get their dream job, doing exactly the one, it sounds very good, but I think a lot of it is, that island thinking, like, this is just what I want to do, so I'm going to go do it. They're not necessarily thinking like, this is going to better prepare me to write for my next position. It's like, there's just a lot of thought that unfortunately doesn't happen around hiring. Hiring tends to be, I think, in my experience, an annoying thing that has to get done so you can get back to business, and so if you can get another department to do it and just hire the people for you, it's not typically in these larger organizations the people who you'll be working with. It's like the recruiter that they hired because they don't want to deal with having to decide which of these 10,000 people is the one we're going to pay the money to. So the whole, what we're talking about today really is a flipping the script on the entire process. Who's doing it? What's the position? How are you meeting these people? How many people are you asking? You know, and I think, again, it lends itself to smaller companies who have the resources to be a little more nimble, who have the skin in the game to want to find the right person the first time, not have to just keep cycling.
Or maybe we just like cut the whole process short. You just hand your prospective employer a list of stuff that you potentially can do.
Right.
And then you enter into like a version of the Hunger Games or Squid Game, and you just get a job, and then they try and like weed you out and putting you, making you.
This is a new reality show.
Yeah, something like that.
So
I would probably do that. Not if I was going to get murdered if I didn't write a good article, but
so
I frankly wouldn't mind that. It's like, okay, give me a chance. Let me get in there. I don't mind competing.
But they'd have to be
And
paid,
also now with a supposed talent shortage in our industry,
which I
maybe
don't
the whole, like,
understand.
pre-job candidate resume cover letter thing is stupid anyway. Just
Yeah.
hire them, put them in there, and like if you can last a month, you know, working 24 hours a day, prepping for this event, working on weekends and all of that, you're in. Squid Game.
So Shapiro's asking, but how many people are applying? That's a lot of projects. We always have a lot of projects. You know that. So like, come on, apply for some if you want. And then is it Vitale? I'm going to give you the whole Italian thing. It's Vitale. Doing a sample project could be a great indication, but there is the perception that you are getting solutions to a problem that will benefit the organization, kind of working for free.
I have heard that.
Yeah. So I honestly don't believe in the whole working for free thing. I get what you're coming from. I would say there would be some sort of even project compensation of some kind.
Yeah, you have to pay people for that kind of stuff.
But I'm also seeing a trend where if you want the job or if you want the full-time position, if you will, then take the project, run with it, present it, and then you get compensated for that. It's almost like working on project basis to prove yourself. And maybe that is what it is going to be like, and seeing if you fit in with the team, etc. And if it fits in with your current side hustle, digital nomad style, then do that and then earn the job. I remember my first job when I came back to the US from Egypt. This was 98, 97, 98. I got in with a boutique marketing agency and had my interview. And in the interview, because of my hospitality background, they basically said, you land us Starwood. And there was like a whole pitch that needed to happen for Starwood preferred guests, that, you know, SPG thing, their loyalty program, then you have a position here. And that's how it went. I worked on the project, made it happen. This little dinky agency out of Boston, nobody heard of. We went up against Ogilvy and Edelman and I don't know what. We got it. And then I got my $32,000 job.
Whoa.
I know.
Oh, you took the whole Egyptian family out for a big dinner.
Exactly. Well, now that the Egyptian pound to the dollar is 27 to 1, yeah, it was a meal.
I think that's what Vitali's saying. Like, you did something that was worth a lot more money for practically free.
Exactly. And when they said, well, we can't give you a raise, I said, goodbye.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do think this is where I think ultimately what we're all saying is you have to think different of the process. And actually it's going to be a game changer. I know that there's people getting laid off. I know people are saying that they're short of talent within their organizations and all of that great stuff, which I don't know if is true or not. I think you really have to seek out the new talent that actually can catapult your organization. You're going to have to deal with thinking differently. We're just saying you need to think different. And this, I know a couple of people, and Bruno, you probably do too, and Liz, you do too, that have been in the job search and have had like 6+ interviews with the same company. and then nothing happens. And it's like, you made me do a disc assessment. You made me do, what's the other one? Brigger,
Oh,
Yeah,
Myers or
Myers-Briggs.
something. Myers-Briggs. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, like all those blah, blah, blahs, for what? And then what? We're going to have to take a look at like the TikTok reels, and we're going to have to take a look at the videos, but we can guide them. Like, we can tell them this is what we want to see.
So you're onto something there, because what if you put in the job description area, like, if you're going to come in with a video reel, TikTok or whatever, and we're open to it, just at least include this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
I don't care how you make slime, or how you're
Slime is a
do
thing.
all the bad things you do on TikTok. But what I do care about is X, Y, and Z, and maybe that would open up the door to fresher talent, more eager people, younger people that maybe will accept a starting salary because they don't have as much experience, which I think would be attractive.
Yep.
I look at, and who I'm thinking of, someone that you and continue to work with in Dahlia Plus, part of your group, that the moment I met her, I was like, are you kidding me? She was a young kid, remember? You know who I'm talking about?
Soraya?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought, this person, and she wasn't even 21.
No, I couldn't take her to the bar.
Like, she is like some kind of like witch or something, because she's
Well, the funny
so
thing is,
fabulous.
and the funny thing is about her is, when we had our call together, this
Yeah.
had nothing to do with her resume, because she was actually right out of college.
Yeah.
Where and it's the same with Vivian. It was all about and these are rock stars, as you
Yeah.
both know. It was all about me, like, actually meeting them in person, or in Soraya's case, it was Zoom, and just really tapping into their energy and asking them like crazy ass questions, as you can imagine what I can ask.
Yeah.
But like with Soraya, it was kind of interesting because she, I took her to her first big show, which was Convening Leaders in Austin, Texas. And she thought she was giving out flyers. I'm like, no, honey, we don't give out flyers. And like, all of a sudden, it's like, here's what you're going to do at the tech bar. This is what you're going to do with the people. And I knew that her energy, it needed like a boost in that situation. Soraya doesn't need a boost of anything, because her energy should be bottled up and sold. But and then I knew that she was able to take on situations just on the fly. And actually, at her first event, she took the stage with 85 people in the audience. So this is where you won't be able to tell that from a resume or a cover letter or even an interview, because they've already been conditioned on how to prepare themselves. It's already on, a Medium article on news.com or something like that. So real quick, so that we can wrap up, Liz, would you have a Gen Z would recreate what you are all about?
I would take their advice, but I would do it myself so that it came across authentic to me, because I wouldn't be the one making a TikTok reel. That's for sure.
Why not, though?
I can't do
I would love Gen Z to do a resume for me and do my TikTok reel or whatever, and just, add that level of energy that I probably don't have. I would love it. I would pay them. Come on, bring it on.
Well, maybe we should have Soraya do our TikTok reels. That would be
Oh my
flippin'.
God. That would be so hilarious.
All right, we got this.
Good.
I honestly think the whole idea of resume should be scratched. I also think that cover letters are shitty out the door. And I think that us as event professionals should give more guidance to the new talent that we're trying to recruit, or even for ourselves, and be more authentic in front of camera and in front of like being visual of our portfolio. And, use ourselves as like we're too humble. We need someone to kick our ass and then we can give guidance because we're a higher and older generation than the Gen Z, in order to make them look more professional but not lose their authenticity. Shapiro, I'll sign you up for a TikTok reel. I know that I've seen your Disney character, so you're good.
And I also think if you're an employer and you see a young person that has a gap in their resume, I think you should feel jealous. You shouldn't feel suspicious.
True.
You know, I would look at that and go, oh my God, they backpacked across Thailand. I want to do that. You know, like I want that person to who has the guts to do that, especially alone, in my organization. I think it shows real chutzpah.
Oh, yeah. And I would totally take someone on who's like backpacked or like taken side projects or whatever and MacGyvered their life a bit. I'd take a MacGyvered person any day of the day.
Especially in this business, you need MacGyver. You
Yeah.
don't need, you
I'd
know.
like to know if everybody knows who MacGyver actually is.
You said it, not me.
Every time I say that to my kids, it's like, I need to MacGyver you. They're like, who is that?
Yeah.
I'm like, he's the guy who made a bomb with a chewing gum wrapper. Come on.
Paper clips. He invented paper clips.
He did. All right. Well, this has been a fantastic, like, idea dropping, like mic dropping session, don't you think?
Always.
Always. So we are getting ready for our next show, which is next week, January 26th already, the new era of white label partners. I hope you can all join us. Please tell your friends and your family members that want to talk about partnerships to join us on Thursday. Make sure you sign up for any notifications, new content that is coming your way at dahliaplus.com/Q the Genius. Thank you, Peggy. And if you have any topics that you would like to discuss going forward, we are all ears. So thank you for joining us for Cut the Shit, Q the Genius. You are the geniuses. We're just a filter here. So we're all good. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everyone. Bye.